Pro Wrestling Grand Prix champion, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys podcast.
The Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Alliance. That's
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
If you're not here, you're missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
The Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J Cal, and I have a posse, and you're going to meet them tonight. First and foremost, the professor of pro wrestling, Mr. Rick Del Santo. Sir.
What's going on? Thank you for having me once again. It's wonderful to be here this week.
It's always wonderful when you're here. Now for the
you.
other two miscreants, Jaden and DKM. What is up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
Did you call me a posse?
I said you're part of my posse.
I don't think that's a very appropriate word to be saying. Also, Rick, is your shirt different than when you were talking to me earlier?
I had to run in the other room and change it. I'm sorry. Same hat, though. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I did 5 hours. No, I guess it came out to 6 hours on stream on Tuesday. And only Devin Dowling realized that every episode, every live stream, I had a different shirt on. I had my dog shirt. I wore the Alliance blog dog shirt. I wore my old school Alliance blog shirt and an NWA shirt. So I was proud of myself.
There you go. I don't like to wear the same clothing in each and every episode either.
Well, the way I see it is this, right? Like, I don't want someone watching for like the first time, like, oh, that was cool. What, let's see another episode. Let's see what else he's talking about. And it's like the same shirt. And it's like, man, this guy doesn't have any clothes, huh? Just the one, huh?
Is DK here?
He's being awfully quiet.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Are you napping?
Yeah,
What?
napping.
What are you talking about clothes? I mean, I'd wear the same white T-shirt every single time, except for J1 if I wear a white T-shirt.
I was going to send you a new one.
He had a nice red NWA shirt I saw before.
Well, it's currently in my laundry basket.
You have a dog shirt, too?
That's currently MIA.
I got up this morning. The plan was to go to the gym. I put on my Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator shirt because I heard it makes you 3% stronger. And then my wife says, no, we have things to do today. You don't have time to go to the gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to the gym today. In fact, I spent about 7 hours in the gym. 8 hours? No, I spent about 9 hours in the gym.
That's a good shirt, too.
Yeah, I like that shirt. Even if you are in a laundromat.
That's what I thought the first time I saw it, too. He was like,
I know you did.
Center. It's an IBM Information Center. Get it right.
I know what it was, but I thought you would pop for that.
I did. All right. Before we get into our wrestle talk, of course, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's Tyrus.
Who?
Willie Bone with his Tyrus joke of the day. Hey, guys, imagine Tyrus had 230 pounds and had wrestling ring skills. Then imagine Rolando Freeman at 6'5" and 250 pounds.
Yeah, neither's going to happen.
I'm going to do you one better, Willie. I'm not going to think about either one of those guys, right? Like, gone. Like, wipe my memory, please. Thank you and goodbye.
Imagine somebody shooting Dave Dahl in a rocket into the sun. I'd feel bad for the sun.
That sun wouldn't survive.
It'd have a lot of fuel, though. It'd probably burn real hot. We'd wipe out humanity.
Is that what you want?
Some of it.
All right. Well,
The way things are today.
you know,
It would
and
be sad.
what'd you say, DK?
I said it would be sad. The sun disappearing.
Well, then you wouldn't know.
Well, first of all, where are you going to get a rocket with that much thrust?
We would just have to make sure it's when the Earth spins around, and we would just have it slingshot around. If he doesn't go back in time first and wipe out the dinosaurs.
Are you willing to take that risk?
That's probably what happened to the dinosaurs.
It all comes full circle.
They were drowned by all that exposing jelly.
Now you're just making me nauseous. Hey, Noob says, how are you guys doing tonight? Noob, I'm doing excellent. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I spent 9 hours in the gym today. I was working out and swam.
Working out and what?
Swam. I was still swimming. Yeah, I swam. I was swimming. I was doing some swimming.
It's just the way you said it, I couldn't understand the words that were coming out of your mouth.
What am I, Jackie Chan?
No, that would make you Chris Tucker, and I would be Jackie Chan.
No, because Chris Tucker's the one that said it.
Right. But you're the one that said the words that I couldn't understand.
Yes. So you would be Chris Tucker.
You don't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I don't understand what you guys are talking about or why you're talking about it.
It's from that movie. That's the only part of the movie I remember.
That movie?
Yeah, that.
Who are you, my mother?
What's it?
Rush Hour. It's called Rush
My
Hour.
mom normally does it with music or a singer. You know that singer who sings that song? Sure, Mom.
How often do you know that?
How often do I know it?
Yeah, when she's like, do you know that song by that one guy? How often do you know it?
Never. You're supposed to give me more information. My favorite is, though, when she's really struggling, she goes, you know what I'm talking about. And I go, no, I really don't. I am actually clueless.
Like, finally admits it.
Oh, my God.
Ouch.
I go, I feel like Jaden.
Sorry, that was good.
My brother used to say, real quick, my brother used to say, hand me that thing. No, not that thing, the other thing.
Jaden and I, when we were in Philly, had a conversation. And Jaden said, I'm not really funny. I just say whatever I'm thinking. Well, that's he left. And everyone else thinks what I think is funny. And I was laughing so hard for a lot of the stuff he was saying in Philly at the ECW arena. Although this time there was no Jack Cartwheel, so he didn't have like 100 analogies for a cartwheel.
My typical thing is I'm serious, but people think I'm joking. You know, because like, I don't want to slap you so hard right now. Oh, you're so funny. No, I'm not. Serious.
Surely you can't be serious.
Don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah. Great movie.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know which one that one is? I do. But yeah, Airplane.
I speak jive.
We've heard you on the D-Get Bundles interview. No, you don't.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I was just trying to
appropriate culture.
Shit. I felt like I was just trying to make him comfortable in the situation. I mean,
True story. My sister was doing a thing for her barbecue place.
Okay.
You know, like a little TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she used the word caliente. And people got on the thing going, that's cultural appropriation. And she's like, my mom's Mexican. I'm half. I get to use the word.
She can only use half of it.
No, she gets to use all of it.
That was a joke, DK. It was a joke. Just joking. I wasn't serious.
Well, you know what's funny is I never laugh when you're joking, and I always laugh when you're serious.
Well, hey, not everyone has.
Surely he can't be serious. Surely he can't be serious. Because I'm feeling really squirrely right now. Or surly.
Surly?
Yeah. You know, DK loves when I use the word mucho. That means a lot to him.
I've used that as a dad joke on Fridays.
I know. I gave it to you.
No. I had that one. Jaden has fed me a lot of great dad jokes. That was not one of them.
I forgot. It's more cultural appropriation from you.
Anyway, it happens. I live in Southern California. It's a melting pot. What do you expect from me?
Yeah, I hear it's really melting.
It was on fire for a while.
I mean, yeah, there are some wildfires, but this whole thing about the crazy violence that's happening in LA is so overstated. Can't watch Fox News, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm watching CNN.
Well,
I'm sorry to hear that.
You also are watching NWA, and it tells me right now you guys don't really watch anything good.
Well, I feel that way a lot of times when I'm watching. Hey,
we will correct that before the end of the show because I'll give my honest opinion on this week's show.
I'm sorry.
No,
were you giving dishonest opinions all along?
Well, yes. No, I was. But this is... I don't want to get too deep into it until you gentlemen decide to break it down. But it's slightly better with the exception of the BS that takes place every week. But we're not into the powers. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just felt like even the BS was a little bit better. But, again, I'm a Silas Mason fan. So, like, he was silly, and I was laughing.
That scene was cringeworthy, I thought. The first scene was actually worse. So it was better than the last week's with the whole situation, but it was still,
Well,
what the hell was that?
It sounded like somebody ripped one.
Yes.
It might have been my phone going off. Sorry.
Okay.
No,
it's all good.
I've had a stalker all day. Sorry.
That's like saying it's kind of like saying no. Dave Dahl's slightly better when you don't watch his matches.
Well, sure.
What is it John Lennon said? Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Hey.
I thought John Lennon said, I'm one of the Beatles.
Who are the Beatles?
John Lennon said, don't shoot me, please.
Ouch.
Was that too soon? Is that too soon?
I mean, it's like 40 some odd years later, right? So I don't think so.
I thought DK would say something. Like that was
you assumed I was listening to you?
Oh no, DKM dropped off the show. I don't know what happened, guys.
The Alliance Comedy Hour.
Just kidding. We love you, DK.
We'll be here all week. Try the fish.
No. I tried the fish once.
Did you try the fish or the chicken? I had the steak. Come on, you didn't know that one?
I don't know.
That's also from Airplane, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah, see?
Exactly.
Come on. See, I watched it recently just, for an update. I watch it like once a year.
Well, Jay, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to send you money because it's like if you like the show, send $5 and we'll be back next week. If you don't like the show, send $100 and we won't have to be back next week.
So all kidding aside, and DK heard like the tail end of it. I was on a TikTok live earlier today, and like I don't expect people to give me gifts. My eyes aren't blue, my hair isn't blonde, and I don't have a nice rack, so I'm not ever expecting someone to pay me on TikTok. And there was a nice guy in the chat, and he literally gave me all the gifts that you can give, and I think I made like $10 on that.
Did you say you had a nice rack?
No, I guess so. I guess so. Now, what's funny is my wife wasn't even on the TikTok, so I don't know how that happened, but I'll take it. Anyways, that's why I'm a little distracted right now because I'm like, ooh, I just made like $10, man.
Is that what those little gift thingies do?
Yeah.
I think you have to add up a certain amount before you can cash it out, though, right?
Yeah, like so all of it equals something, like every little gift you give, it adds up, and then like when you're in the when you go live frequently, you get bonuses for going live for so long, and so like just on that live, I made like $8.20.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Go buy a pound of coffee.
Dude, you know what I could do is I could go to Taco Bell and order like 3 things off the menu.
No, you can't.
I don't know.
Dang.
In 2025, maybe.
Luthez, a B cup? You know, I guess that's better than saying I have a C cup, so I'll take it. Jesus Christ. Pays for some tacos and TJ. Soto, when are we going back to TJ? All right, let's talk about power. I think we've stalled long enough. Well, okay. Rick, you direct traffic here. Do you want to talk about power, or do you want to talk about Roku and the NWA coming to the Roku channel?
Well, they never really touched upon power and all the announcements that they made recently, correct? However, sorry, Jay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but however, today they were flashing on the screen that power is moving to the Roku Sports channel. They kept saying that it was going to stay on X, and I think that they were just messing with us, or maybe it's just going to simulcast. Who knows? They didn't say. But they finally said it. They didn't make any kind of announcement because I think the shows are pre-recorded, so they just flashed it across the screen.
I'll be right back, guys. Give me 1 second. Everything's fine. I just have a surprise visitor, my daughter, who I haven't seen in like a month.
Go for it. June 29th, on Tuesday, July 29th, excuse me. It's going to be on 8 p.m. Eastern on the Roku Sports channel. So that's a step forward.
Is it? I mean, it's nice. It's more than one thing.
I mean, it is the Roku channel. I mean, I went skimming through it last night. There's probably 2 different TNA channels. That's really the only professional wrestling channel there is. Wasn't New Japan supposedly on there for a little while as well?
Oh, that's not true at all. There's definitely some old school wrestling channels on Roku, if you can find it.
On the Roku itself or the Roku channel? The Roku streaming channel, because I know there's a ton of streaming services up there, but I didn't see anything when I went through the Roku channel app, and I didn't see really any wrestling type stuff. I saw a lot of MMA, but the only thing I came across was TNA.
There is some of the stuff on there.
I'm sorry?
I said, what am I supposed to download?
If you have a Roku box, it should automatically come on there. So
sorry, I got fire.
I don't know if you can get it. I'm not sure. So you might need it. You can go buy a Roku box for $20. The cheapest one is like $20 or $25 or something like that.
I think on the Amazon Fire Stick you can download the Roku app too, if I'm not mistaken.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
All right. Hello there. I am standing in for J Cal real quick. My name is Neo. Nice to meet y'all.
Yo.
I love The Legend of Zelda.
Hello. Thank you. Been getting really into it. Apologies for distracting, by the way. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
That's good.
Doing better
Zelda,
than your dad.
Yeah, definitely. Now, old school Zelda, new school Zelda.
Bit of both. Been getting into old school Ocarina of Time.
Wow. That's not old school. Oh my God, that's not old school. If you're not 8-bit, you're not old school.
Somewhat old school.
I didn't know there was a new school Zelda.
New school, yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I had no clue.
The Nintendo Switch stuff.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sure my son knows about it.
There is a lot of Zelda out there, and old school is either 8-bit or 16-bit. Once you get out of that, it's...
Once you get... What are you doing?
Being silly. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Thumbs up.
We actually took over.
Well, again, as long as your dad's not there, we're doing good.
All right. Cool.
Hello.
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 We're missing one.
One more is
she's downstairs.
She is
I will
downstairs.
I will go get her.
It'd be funny if they all come in and go, hello.
I mean, we could get that final one.
Someone's been watching the Three Stooges.
And guess what?
Everybody should be watching the Three Stooges. That is a
Got
nice shirt.
Shirt right over here. I don't know where the camera's facing. Oh, hi. Get that right over here.
Ocarina, that's old school. Ugh.
Hey, how many cameras does he actually have?
Guess who we got?
I don't know. He has like a million. Anyways, hello.
Guess who we got?
And we got the third one right here.
She's heavy.
Hey.
Just realized we're all in the Powerpuff colors.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, with Powerpuff Girls.
Anything
Well, that's cool.
Does that make Jay Professor X? Does that make Jay Professor X?
Yeah.
Yes,
He's
yeah.
he's definitely a Professor Utonium.
Yes, it's it.
Utonium.
Professor Utonium.
I mean, do you want to be? Do you want to be?
Yeah, I was thinking of Element X. Sorry.
It's okay. I'd love you if you were bald, Dad.
Then what would Mom be?
She would be the mayor's lady.
Yeah.
All right.
We never see her face, but she's always there.
That's right.
Wow. I see her
Wow.
face.
Oh.
I'm almost a soldier.
Okay. Well,
Adios.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Does that make J Mojo Joe? I mean, does that make DK Mojo Jojo?
That was my Father's Day surprise.
Awesome.
It's a good surprise to get.
Cool.
You know, be real surprised if there was a fourth one that showed up.
That would be a surprise. Did I ever tell you the story about my brother, my oldest brother Johnny?
No.
Probably not.
Johnny has had 4 kids with 3 different moms. When the youngest child was born, they had the same mom as the last 2 kids had the same mom, but there was a girlfriend in between. So it was really weird and wild. And all this time he had told me that he thought he had another kid out there, but like didn't know. And then Ancestry did their search and they found our family. And so he got reunited with his daughter after like 36 years, 37 years.
Wow.
He lives in Florida. And it's like, she looks just like someone in my family. Like they have the same resemblance and everything. It was just wild because he never met her. He never knew he thought she might exist, but him and that girl had a falling out. And she said, you'll never see your daughter, and left. And he didn't know if she was real or not. That was like in the 80s, and Ancestry reunited them.
Well, you know, Jaden won't do DNA tests for just that reason.
Yes.
You know, every year I wish Jay a happy Father's Day for, you know, his 3 kids, and Jaden a happy Father's Day for all the kids that are out there he doesn't know about.
I'm glad
People ask me all the time if I have kids. I say, not that I know of. Nobody's claimed me yet.
So,
I'm sure some have looked, and once they found you, it said, yeah.
You know, you're still on the hook for back child support. So, like, you know, just keep a low profile, you know?
Yes.
They'll find you. Trust me. They will. I've gotten... Yeah. I've been a victim. I wouldn't say victim, but you know what I mean. They'll find you.
So, okay, I missed what you guys were talking about because I was in awe of my daughter being here. We did talk about the NWA coming to terms with Roku.
Yep.
And that's Roku Sports. That isn't an NWA Roku channel.
Nope. It's Roku Sports, according to what the announcement was, and I think it's just a sports live streaming service. And I think it's going to be, they said it's going to be Tuesday nights, 8 p.m., which it's pretty exciting. I think it's good news. Roku is probably one of the bigger streaming platforms in the universe, I guess you could say. So it could be something very good for them, I think. And hopefully it'll open up, because there's a lot of people that have Roku. Hopefully it'll open it up and some people will discover it just doing whatever, you know, looking up whatever else they're looking at, and try this. Try out the NWA. And hopefully going forward with when they start airing there, it's actually a better product than it is currently.
Well, the one thing I would suggest is, like, this is probably the biggest platform that the NWA has landed, because I don't think the CW app had all that much traction.
It was still relatively new at the time, I think. I mean, it's been around for a few years, but it's not like a gigantic platform by any stretch.
I mean, I used to watch the what is it, the Arrow universe on there. I would watch the Green Arrow, and I'd watch Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. I would watch that on the app, and you know, when that all ended, I stopped using the app. So it was kind of cool when they went back to when the NWA was on the app for ease, but of course that alienated the entire marketplace because it was just for the United States. With the Roku app, it's still limited to just North America, which again, not international because it won't be seen in the UK, it won't be seen in Australia, it won't be seen in a lot of English-speaking countries that won't have access to it. So that on that side of it, it's kind of disappointing for them, but I still think it is a victory in that it's a better platform than X. If they continue to stream on X, that's great. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't think it changes anything if they're still on X. Obviously, I think that they should be pushing people to watch on Roku, but I don't think it's going to hurt if they still show, a day or two after on X or just simulcast it, I guess.
Right.
If it's the same programming, then basically the X is they can see it on internationally. Then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
but, I mean,
Rick,
they'll also have YouTube as well, which after it airs, they usually show clips of and stuff like that, which is, that's a pretty popular thing. And I think they do show, they show matches from shows on there, but they just might edit out all the BS, like the stuff that we sit here and complain about, the skits. So
it might be a better way to actually watch it is watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, just waiting a week or whatever, because I think they do it, like one match here, one match a couple days later, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, Rick, I don't know if you've heard different. I haven't for sure yet, but as far as I know, that this doesn't contradict or conflict with what they're doing on Wrestling Central, which still doesn't have an announced date yet.
Right.
But that sounds like that's going to be older content, stuff from the library, from Billy's library, not the current Power, which I think will only be, as far as Roku goes, that will be reserved for that Roku Sports.
That, I believe there's going to be on the, was it Wrestling Central, you said?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some first run programming, so I think they're going to be coming up with exclusive shows for that channel, just not necessarily Power, where Power is going to be on Roku Sports, but who knows, they can I have a feeling at some point they're going to intertwine somehow.
I wouldn't hate, look, in what this means is if somebody is putting money into Billy's bank account for the program, theoretically it means that he's going to put more money into production. I mean, maybe not, but I would assume so, right?
Right.
And Power, to me, Power looks really good. I think the product overall, let's not talk about the skits. You have pretty good talent in the NWA currently, and the way it looks when you're watching it on TV, it looks pretty good. They shoot it well. So I don't think that you're going to need to upgrade production. I don't think you're going to need to upgrade your talent so much. Maybe a bigger names here and there when they can get them.
Right.
But I think what this will do will help with turnaround time. So we're not waiting 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I say weeks. I mean 3 months, 4 months to get from pay-per-view, premium live event to Power to TV. And who knows, maybe this also means that they will bring back the signature live event the way it was intended to be, like a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing that I think that with the Wrestling Central that they'll run exclusive events. I mean, they promised us that when we bought the package on Fight, but we never got anything extra other than certain live events here and there. But I'm hoping that they will think to add exclusive events to that, not to mention just rather exclusive content, but actually doing a live event or maybe pre-taped, what have you. It would be, hopefully they're thinking properly the way that we're hoping that they do, but God knows they're not.
Yeah. And I hope when they say that they're going to put old footage on, maybe that's some of the stuff that's recorded months ago, that that way we can get it done and over with.
Yeah, that. And I'm guessing it's going to be all the way back from the beginning from NWA 70, the first season of NWA Power. God knows what else they did,
Be nice to see the 10 pounds of gold again.
Yeah, those episodes too. Yep.
Well, like NWA USA.
Yep.
And if it's just the old content, all those pay-per-views, Because they were doing multiple pay-per-views a year. They were doing remember the pay-per-views were different than the live events back in the day. Like they would do the TV taping and then the pay-per-view, and it was separate, not like how it is today where the signature live event just is a part of Power.
Right. It's just a Power taping. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be something separate, and they'll be able to build up storylines properly on TV, on Power, to build towards that, and then maybe air it like a Clash of the Champions during the week or something like back in the day.
That would be really cool. I think I would be excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
What about you?
Maybe some
DK?
NWA Chicago.
Yeah. What about you, DK? What do you think about that? Is that something that you'd be interested in?
Take that as a no.
Hello.
Were you on mute?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
All right. Well, my computer froze, so I didn't know what was going on. I blame Jay.
I got big shoulders. I can take it.
Somebody should.
So, DK, are you excited about that?
About them going on Roku? I mean, this is one of those things I'm honestly going to have to take other people's opinion on because I don't know enough about Roku. So
it's very similar to the Amazon Fire, so you're not far. It's not that different.
It's pretty.
So, I mean, would it be like it being on Amazon Prime? Is that if I were to?
Yeah, something similar to that. Because I think that doesn't Amazon start to do live events too, or live things as well?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar.
And this is from Roku, so I don't know how accurate the information is, but it said Roku has more than 80 million active accounts and counting, a major marker of the company's growth and scale as consumers continue to move to TV streaming. So 80 million, look, and that doesn't mean 80 million people are going to watch the NWA. It just means that in North America, there's, a larger amount of eyeballs who will be watching than there was before. It's just the opportunity to be seen. Really all this still means is that Billy needs to put out a good wrestling show, because just because people can watch it doesn't mean they will. If it's a bad show, people won't watch it, and that's the big takeaway here. It doesn't matter if they were on ABC on Prime on Friday nights, TGIF back in the 90s. If the show sucks, no one's going to watch it, period.
It would have been
that show was called Day by That show was called Day by Day.
Brick by brick.
I remember that show.
Not Step by Step. That was great. Day by Day. That was the show that was really big on TGIF. They took just the 10 of us off to put on, by the way.
Just
what was Day by Day? I remember Step by Step. I don't remember Day by Day.
You really shouldn't be glad. It was horrible.
Good.
But they took just the 10 of us off to put on that show, and that's what annoyed me, because it was another Miller Boyette production.
Oh, I had Julia Louis-Dreyfus was on there prior to being on Seinfeld. She was in that show. Who else is on there? I got it right here in front of me. I can't recognize half these people. Sorry, it's 30 some odd years ago. Who else is in it?
And now we're all looking who was on this dumb show.
I remember the show. Yeah, I don't remember anybody else on Christopher Daniel Barnes. I do remember that person, but I don't remember anybody else that was on it.
It was awful, and again, I was real mad because I love the Lubbock Babes.
Now,
Cindy was my favorite.
Okay, so I just pulled up the Wikipedia, and it said it was on NBC.
Oh, look at that.
You sure?
That's.
Network NBC released February 29, 1988 to June 4th, 1989.
It was still horrible.
I'm just reading the description. The show centers on Brian and Kate Harper, a married couple with 2 successful careers. Brian as a stockbroker, Kate as a lawyer, and a teenage son named Ross. After the couples had a second child, their daughter Emily, they decided to quit their jobs because they had missed all the best times of Ross growing up and decided to not make the same mistake with Emily. This sounds terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find episodes on YouTube.
And that's what we're going to be doing next week, a deep dive into day by day.
Right when I leave here tonight, I'm watching.
Nice.
I'm really sorry to get you guys down that rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
I sit around and watch a lot of old sitcoms at night, so because it's very calming when I'm late at night getting ready for bed and stuff. So
Courtney Thorne-Smith was on it. Thora Birch was on it.
She was the little girl, I think.
Okay.
You would have had to have been back then.
Yeah. I loved Courtney Thorne-Smith back then, though.
Who?
Courtney Thorne-Smith. She was in Summer School, which was one of my favorite movies.
That's a great movie with Mark
She was
Harmon.
also on Melrose Place.
Melrose Place too, of course, yeah. And I think she was on 3.5 Men or 2.5 Men or
Sure.
3 Men and a Rolando or whatever it was.
Wait, who are you referring to again? I'm sorry.
Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is.
Well, you'll know her when you see her.
All right.
Yeah, she was very recognizable. And in the 80s, she was very cute.
Real quick, Julia Louis-Dreyfus' real name is Julia Scarlett Elizabeth Louis-Dreyfus.
That's a long ass name. What the hell were her parents thinking?
Armando Alejandro Estrada.
All right.
What was her name again? Courtney what Smith?
Courtney Thorne-Smith.
We will do anything to not review Power, huh?
Every road has a thorn.
We went way off. I mean, it's all right to go off track, but man, we are way off this week.
That's I'm going to blame this all on DK. Really.
Hey, you're the one that let your daughters take over the show.
Yeah.
It was more entertaining with them on it, to be honest.
Well, that's true.
I don't know. I think everybody now is looking at Courtney Thorne-Smith from the 80s, and I'm pretty happy.
Oh, I remember this lady. Yeah.
I don't even know what year she was born.
I don't either. She was still cute in the 80s. And Summer School was a great movie.
I know her.
I love it when they would do the.
It doesn't say what year she was born. She's born in 66 or 67. That's not clear. I'm sorry. I'm looking her up on Google. It's Jaden's fault.
It is Jaden's fault. Thanks, Jaden. Kids, thank you, Jaden. Thanks, Jaden.
I do remember her seeing her in other stuff, too. I can't remember what, though. Melrose Place? Yeah.
2.5
I
Men.
saw it.
Yeah.
I remember her in Ellingville. I never watched 2.5 Men, but I've seen enough clips of it that I recognize her.
There's no need to see it.
I did watch According to Jim, and that was almost as bad as the other thing.
So I'm on TikTok more than I probably should be, and a couple of times there are clips from those shows that they show that have got me invested in shows. So like Shameless, all the clips I'd see on TikTok made me watch Shameless, and I love that show.
That's a great show. Yeah, I discovered that. Maybe my wife discovered it by accident a few years ago. Sat there and watched the whole entire series. It was really good.
That's what happened to me with Landman.
What?
I kept seeing Landman. It's a show with Billy Bob Thornton. Takes place in Texas.
Okay.
But anyway, I kept seeing little clips here and there, and at first I thought they were kind of stupid, but then I was like, because I was watching some of the longer clips, which will go over the course of the season.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I want to know what happened.
That's how I started watching Ghosts from CBS.
Oh yeah, that's the yes, my wife likes that too.
TikTok is good for that, for clips of TV shows or movies being up there. Next thing you know, you find yourself watching it, and it's like, it's just awesome.
The clips of Step by Step reminds me I used to have a crush on Stacey McKeon. Was that her name?
Yeah, she was on My Two Dads too.
Yeah, I liked her then. That's actually when I started liking her, because she was redhead then.
I remember that show too. I remember I watched it. I was a huge Monkees fan back in the day. And Davy Jones was on an episode.
Well, I was always like, I always thought to myself, like, and because I was naive and little, I'm like, how could she have two dads? Like, what sense does that make?
Well, they did it in a way that was not as offensive back then.
Yeah. Well, it was, and then like I always wondered, like, so okay, you guys don't know who the dad is, so you're both gonna step up and be responsible. Like that's not something that's realistic in any environment, I don't think.
They didn't have DNA back then, and the old lady judge was the mom voice from Dinosaurs.
Yep.
Not the mama. All right.
No, not the mama. That was not anybody's voice.
You want to hear the stupidest reason that I ever started watching the show?
Let's hear it.
When I was a young
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
When I was a young thing, I liked the TV show I Dream of Jeannie.
There was nothing. If you're going to say because it's Barbara Eden, there's nothing stupid about that.
No, that's why I watched I Dream of Jeannie. No, but I started watching the TV show Dallas because I knew Larry Hagman from I Dream of Jeannie, and I wanted to see him in this new role. I did not know it was a nighttime soap opera, and that every show ended kind of in a minor cliffhanger. So I ended up watching Dallas for however many years it was on. All because I wanted to see what Larry Hagman was doing now that he was in I Dream of Jeannie. Little known fact, because so few people watched the last season, but Barbara Eden actually made an appearance in the last season. She was on for about 4 or 5 episodes.
Got it.
Well, if you want to go back to Step by Step, the dad in Step by Step was also in Dallas. Patrick Duffy.
Not only was the dad, but the goofy guy that had a crush on your girl.
You talking about Cody?
Yeah, was he the martial arts guy?
Yeah, Cody.
Yeah, he was on Dallas for 2 or 3 seasons, where he played an illegitimate son of JR that JR didn't know about.
Is Patrick Duffy still alive? Holy crap!
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
The only one on
70s.
that show that's no longer here, that's like unless you count the two mom and the mom and the sister, was Suzanne Summers. She's the only one that's no longer there.
Yeah. Hey, but don't forget Patrick Duffy. Wasn't he also a very big country singer in the 70s as well?
Was he?
There we go. There's some trivia for you. Yes, he was.
So was what was the guy from Dukes of Hazzard?
Both of them actually.
Yeah, it's actually true. There's both.
Yep, John Schneider and Tom Wopat both have put out, and I think it was actually John Schneider actually had a way longer career because he's still producing country records. And I worked in a record store for 30 years part-time, so I got to witness all this stuff. And
one of them ended up in jail for a while.
That was John Schneider.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was like insurance or tax fraud or something like that. This is going
back. Child support, I think.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Well, it started with child support. What that may have led to is I don't remember. But
I'm thinking I'm going back like 15, 20 years ago if it's the same story I'm thinking of. So
yeah, it's been a while. It was before his Superman days or Smallville or whatever.
Rick, when you used to work for a record store, did you ever celebrate Rex Manning Day?
Never.
No?
Never. It was way past that, and I never even thought about it. But no.
Hey,
I
Jay.
just sat there and grabbed records all day.
Yeah.
That I wanted to bring home with me.
So, what's happening in the world of wrestling?
Oh, wrestling.
So okay. I mean, let's stay in the 80s for a little bit, because one of my favorite shows in the 80s was, of course, besides pro wrestling, and I'd usually watch it after pro wrestling, was a little show by the name of American Gladiators. And I think it's only fitting that today it was announced that a couple of familiar faces will be returning to the Gladiator. Well, not returning, but will be a part of the new Gladiator series that's coming to Amazon Prime. And some of those names include Rick Boggs, who spent some time in the World Wrestling Entertainment, Wardlow, who's been MIA from AEW for quite some time, and our very own former women's world champion, the one-time Camille, will be a part of the Modern American Gladiators. That'll be hosted by Mike Mizian on I think it's on Amazon.
Mike Mizanin?
Whatever.
Interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were still in love with that guy.
From Road Rules and from what was the other show?
That's the important part.
The Real World?
Jaden. That's what we're really focused on is Miz.
Well, not only that, but I heard one of the British gladiators thought you were a ham sandwich jabroni.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say about that?
He was wrong. That's what you're supposed to say.
We made $100 in T-shirt sales. Not like $100 selling T-shirts, like $100 profit that I was able to donate to the JRDF charity. That's a Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund, which is important to me because my middle child, Claire, who you guys saw momentarily, is a type 1 diabetic. That's not type 1 diabetics is genetic. There's nothing she could have changed in her diet to prevent her from having diabetes. And the fact that I was able to take such a goofball, corny ass, like world champion who's literally traveled the world, main evented TNA pay-per-views to talk about me, little old me on YouTube, says more about him as a person than it does me. But I don't have any ill will or anything.
I do.
And just for the record, I just went to his YouTube page. He's got 412 subscribers.
Wow.
Suck a dick, Nick Aldis.
He has a YouTube page?
Yeah.
Does he post on it?
Not in a while. The last thing he posted was 2 years ago with his Legacy Sports Nutrition, and 90 people watched it.
Wow.
How many viewers do you have, Jay?
Well, I mean, right now we have. We don't.
Total like subscribers.
Oh, I have 6,000 guys.
6,000.
Wow.
I can't wait to
see for the first 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm at 6,402,000. Excuse me, 6.42 thousand. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say.
I don't either.
Look, my pre-party from just on Tuesday, 2 days ago, had 80 views. That's as much as Nick Aldis's commercial for his Nutrix. So, you know.
Boy, that didn't last very long, did it?
No. Aldis is such a great wrestler that no one has paid him to actually do it since the NWA.
Oh, that's not completely true.
TNA did for a short time.
Yeah, he was in TNA for about a cup of coffee.
Wait, he was where?
TNA.
TNA, yeah.
He left the NWA and then went to TNA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was considered a upwards move too at the time, which is funny.
Right, because he was originally supposed to be like a face and challenge the world champion, but then they had to like change the world champion, and he ended up having to be a heel.
Wow! So he actually did wrestle.
He went to, yeah. Sorry.
He wrestled quite a bit for Impact after he left.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. He was in Mexico as part of a AAA event where El Hijo de Vikingo, Nino Hamburguesa, and Rush defeated Daga, Gringo Loco, and Nick Aldis.
I thought it was Roosh.
No, you're right. It is Roosh. I'm stand corrected.
You're sitting.
Wow. I guess I don't remember him going back to TNA. And he was there for some time, from May of 23 all the way to July of 20. Okay, I guess it's not very long, but he was on a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I think he worked a couple mixed tag matches with his wife and stuff, if I remember correctly. That's about all I remember.
I remember they did mass TV taping back then too, so they would take.
They do them like 2 or 3 days in a row, and then multiple per day, I think.
Yeah.
So
his last wrestling match was on July 7th, 2023 for ACW Bluegrass, where Caleb Conley defeated the Beast Man, Assad, Matthew Justice, and Nick Aldis to become the Bluegrass Con title champion.
I don't even know what that means.
What a legacy.
I just realized TNA records multiple days in a row, multiple times a day, and yet they're still more up to date than the NWA.
Yes. This is true. They only have their stuff come out. They come out weekly, and they come out things like Twitch and YouTube as well that they utilize as well. And so, Billy, pay attention. You can get all your stuff out there as quick as possible, and people might actually watch. I mean, there's people that watch TNA and actually quite enjoy it as well. I've kind of given up over time.
Speaking of giving up, what happened on Power this week?
I don't know. I gave up. No.
I want to hear Rick. Rick's always the more mixed person in the group of.
That's racist, PK.
What?
No, mixed.
That's racist.
Well, only on Tuesdays, and today is Thursday. But Rick's the most mixed person, and when it comes to his opinion on Power. So Rick, what did you think of the opening skit?
You really want to know? Am I allowed to curse? I know I haven't in the past year. I said, "What the fuck is this shit again?"
Yeah.
I said, "They're doing this again." I said, "They didn't learn last week or hear." I don't know if they pay attention to any of our tweets or watch the show, but I said that was the worst opening segment last week. And then they come back and did it again. However, this is slightly shorter, a little bit more comedic, but still pretty damn awful.
I feel like they thought if they could throw Kenzie Page up there, like maybe it would detract people because, she's cute and she's fun. Like if they were smart, they would have put Kylie Page up there because she's the pretty prima donna. And I think more people would have been like invested in seeing her throw a tantrum.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was shorter or not than last week because it just felt so effing long.
Well, the thing that I guess the thing that made me the angriest about the segment, was that like there is no correlation between Mike Mondo and Kenzie Page. Like there's no reason for them to ever speak to one another. Like that just doesn't have a connection.
They haven't interacted in any way, shape, or form to make that happen. To have that make sense in that segment is what it is.
And this is how they say that again, DK.
You think they try to make sense?
Well, that's also true. Yeah.
Based on Billy Corgan's booking, they don't make dollars.
We'll get there.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong on that, but just getting back to the segment, like, again, if you're going to do something, make it have connective tissue. Like, if it was Hunter and Kenzie having this problem, if it was, even if it was Kenzie and someone from the Southern Six, considering the history that they've had in the past, something like that would have made sense. But like Mondo, zero connection to Kenzie. They've not interacted. They've had no circumstances. It's not even like Hunter, Kenzie's fiance, that they made sure that you knew that for certain on this episode. Like he didn't have any connectivity to Mondo. So this whole segment, like it just, what are we fucking doing?
The fact they're having like whatever, what's this called? Like what were they calling it? Relationship conflict resolution. Like this is professional wrestling. We don't need conflict resolution. It's supposed to happen in the ring. Let them go out in the ring and resolve conflict. It's like it just made no sense whatsoever. I felt like I was watching just some shitty show, some bad SNL skit that didn't deliver, where the crowd's just dead the whole time. It just, I don't know. It just, I can't. These segments have to stop, literally, because it's like it just got worse as time went on.
Well, here's the problem. This is why the skits don't go away when they obviously should. And again, it's just being behind.
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't go in and post-edit anything past putting like Roku starting. There's nobody there. They don't cut to a thing of somebody talking backstage about it. They don't do anything. So they try these idiotic, stupid things, and they go on for weeks because everything's already in the can by the time they get the feedback that you guys are fucking idiots for doing this. And So I mean, they seem to have no idea of how to do late editing. It's like,
well, they could just pull it out and create another file. That's all they got to do.
well,
Edit
I
out
know
the
what it
BS.
takes.
I mean,
but they don't think it.
Yeah, edit out the BS. Like, oh man, that didn't go over well. Just all right. So we have another one for next week. Let's edit that crap out and put something else in there. Let's film some short interviews to fit in. Unless there's some sort of payoff at the end, which I can't imagine is going to be entertaining, because knowing what's been happening over the time here with Billy Corgan, it's just going to deliver horribly in the end.
There has been nothing entertaining. There's nothing for us to be entertained by.
Correct.
And again, it's like if the connectivity was there, like there's ways that they could have made this work, even though it's bad. They could have made it make sense, but like this one, nothing. I got nothing. So that takes us to the first match of the night, which was EC3, who is doing his best Tyler Durden impression, and Pretty Boy Smooth taking on Burchill and Joe Ocasio. Now, as somebody who grew up, as someone who's watched Fight Club like a million times, the movie's great, and Tyler Durden is a great character to emulate in your pro wrestling. And I don't feel like this is the first time that EC3's efforted to have those overtones of, Fight Club and Project Mayhem and all that stuff. I mean, I feel like that's what Control Your Narrative was basically like, was kind of like a Project Mayhem from the movie Fight Club. But now you really have, with the music, the entrance, and everything else, I very much felt like I was watching the narrator and Tyler Durden walk into the Fight Club for the first time. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I felt like it created I like this version of EC3 more than the one who thinks he is a Greek god. So, DK, I mean, I'm going to ask you first, before we get into the match, just what did you think of the appearance, the way that he acted? What did you think of EC3 in this opening match?
I mean, I didn't have any major issues with it, but it didn't excite me either.
Okay.
It was like, okay, this is what he's doing now.
What about you, Rick?
I'm kind of along the same lines. Like, it didn't strike me to be like, oh, this is awesome, but I just didn't really care either way. I think that he keeps, and I think they mentioned it during the skit, like he keeps changing his character over and over time since he's been with the NWA. And I just find it, you got to stick with something. I mean, find something that works and stick with it. This is like, the robe was just kind of like shoddy looking, in my opinion. It didn't look like it was brand new, clean, nothing like that. He just came out in this robe that was kind of, I don't know, didn't do anything for me. I guess I'm just going to have to see more of this to see how it develops to actually really make any kind of decision.
Real quick, going back to the skit, when I saw La Princesa Tiffany Nieves standing next to EC3, they have a striking resemblance that made it very unsettling for me. Go back and watch it just to see them standing next to each other, and it's like, you kind of look like the same person. Are you guys related?
Oh, do you remember when, like in Night Dream of Genie or in Bewitched, when they had sisters and cousins that were played by the same main actress?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. You kind of sit there and go, wait a minute, do they film two of these things and just put them side by side?
Because they're cousins, identical cousins in every way.
All right, so then that takes us to the match with Pretty Boy Smooth. Now, this isn't the first time that EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth have teamed together. It's their second outing, and as Jaden and I saw at Crockett Cup, they worked really well together as a tag team. In fact, way better than I thought they would. In this match, I felt like you really got to see that come into play. And, even during the commentary, which I really do hate Billy's commentary, but one thing he said that was of note that interests me is he said, EC3 doesn't politic, but he's politicking for a spot in this Crockett Cup.
Yep.
And I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, number one, like, you should all these matches should have been play-in matches anyways. You should have been advertised as for a play-in spot for the Crockett Cup. We got to see Ocasio and Burchill team up, and they weren't actually a bad team. They were kind of fun in that matchup. Like I didn't think this was a bad match at all, but it really did showcase the teamwork between EC3 and PB Smooth, and and then Danny Dills says that, oh, you know, he's listed as 7'2", but he's closer to 7'7", trying to hype up PB Smooth. And then Billy goes, I have him listed as 6'9". Billy, don't you know what hyperbole is? You're trying to pump your guy up here. You can't bring him back down. DK, I know that you were a little more off on this show than I was, because we talked a little bit before the show started. What did you think of this match? What did you think of the pairing of PB Smooth and EC3? Was this your first time watching them in a match?
I feel like it was. I don't
well,
remember.
you took some time off, and you weren't watching the NWA at all, so you probably missed their first team up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember them, so I think this is the first time. Okay. Here's my first issue. They're two oddball tag teams. And look, they're oddball tag teams that have won championships before, Rock and Sock Connection, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, anybody, Mikey whatever his name was, from ECW.
Mikey Whipwreck and Cactus Jack?
Yeah, you know, probably. Same guys in both of those. But just getting down to, you know, it's just kind of like they're two oddball tag teams. I don't see either one of them lasting past the Crockett Cup. You know, I know this is something to get the team over for the Crockett Cup. And I don't remember how they did in the Crockett Cup. And it's just one of those. It's the match itself was okay. There was nothing that made me wince or go, you know, put my face in my palms or anything like that. But it wasn't special either. I mean, there was nothing that made me go, oh wow, this is exciting, or this is great, or wow. Yeah, both teams worked well as a tag team, I thought. But I couldn't really get into it. I mean, there was nothing that I just found overly exciting and just got into it. It was a C-level match, fine for TV. I don't know that I'd want to see that on a premium live event, which this was part of. So, which, unless, like you said, they had out and out said, hey, this is a play-in match.
Yeah.
You know, if they had come out and said, hey, this is a play-in match, well, then, okay, I see the stakes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I heard that Pretty Boy Smooth, he dreams in Ultra 4K.
He doesn't just see the future, he sees the past and the present.
Don't know how to respond to any of that.
Yeah, I'm with you, DK.
Rick, what did you think of the match?
It was an okay match. It wasn't nothing to write home about, nothing fantastic. Like I said, I was kind of confused about EC3's appearance, them teaming up. Like you said, they teamed up together before, and I don't really remember that. So that just must speak about how the effect that they've had on me. So it was okay. Burchill, I thought, looked really good in here. You know what I mean? I thought Ocasio looked pretty good in here as well. It was just like you guys said, it was kind of like an oddball pairing of tag teams and put together in a match, and it was okay. Nothing to write home about, like I said.
So this episode of Power was episode 209. Mm-hmm. So then it was 6 weeks ago on episode 203 that EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth beat Blunt Force Trauma back at the Tampa studios. So I mean, that's two very big victories for them on the way to the Crockett Cup. Obviously, beating Blunt Force Trauma, I think, carries a lot more weight than beating Ocasio and Burchill. Although I like that pairing, and when I say that the NWA is desperate for tag teams, especially they just broke up Fixers. Like, I don't know, maybe keep Ocasio and Burchill as a tag team. Like down the road, maybe these guys could do something special.
There's a lot of tag teams out there in the indies that they could bring in. Seriously, I could name a ton of them up here in the Northeast, New England area. That if they just kept their eyes open, there's a ton of tag teams, and they could have a really good tag team division if they started bringing any of these teams in.
And I think that's the thing that really frustrates me about the NWA is, you know, for a while there they were boasting about how good their women's division was, and then Hollywood Haley J left, and then the King Bees left, and then like you had this void of like, well, who is still there? You know, Markova's there, she's great, but they haven't put her in the title picture. I mean, recently, I guess she will be at the 77th anniversary show. You've got Natty Neihart was there for an appearance, but Kenzie has kind of beat everybody. There's nothing really more for her to prove at this point. You've got La Princesa Tiffany Neves, who's very talented, but again, you know, we're running into these same old matches. So like the women's division, which was very special for a while in the NWA, is now seemed kind of watered down. The tag teams scene isn't as good as it could be. Go ahead.
When we get done with this show, one of the things I want to talk about is whether the NWA's let their titles go stale. But that's a conversation for after.
Okay, that's fair. Well, then that takes us to, I believe, which was the second skit, and I think it was like a comic book store,
something like that. Yeah.
Shout out real quick. The clerk working the counter there, that was actually the director of Power, Billy, not to be confused with the commentator and owner of the company, Billy. So it's kind of nice to see him get some TV time. He used to also direct the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood before directing the NWA show. So it was kind of fun to see him in that limited role. And I mean, the gist of it was this guy who was working the counter was trying to gas up, you know, Thrillbilly, saying like, you are the Southern Six, you should be the big guy. And outside of that, it was still kind of weird. Thrillbilly Silas Mason thought Pride was all about pride fighting, which I kind of laughed.
That one got me. Yeah.
He's like, I saw the flags out front. Where's your this and that, and that was funny. And then Mondo comes in looking for a gym. Like, why would you go to a comic book store looking for a gym? Those are kind of counterintuitive, but still, I mean, this is stuff that we didn't really need, and it doesn't, you know, I like the idea that they're planting seeds to, you know, corrupt Thrillbilly Silas Mason and maybe have him break off from the Six. I mean, he kept saying, like, why aren't you in the tag tournament? And why, you know, like, because they haven't announced Hammerstone yet. So it just, Thrillbilly kind of assumed that he'd be, you know, in one match, take another match off, and being in you know, in the finals of the Cup. And it was still, look, it wasn't awful. Well, okay, let me phrase that. There was a little bit of merit into it because it was trying to advance a storyline about Thrillbilly Silas Mason. But again, the execution was pretty poor. And although I did laugh at the whole Pride joke, I still don't think, overall, I don't think the segment did what they wanted it to do.
They didn't need to have Silas Mason going into a comic book store and have the cashier try to convince him that he was better than the other guys in the Southern Six and that he should break off, basically, or plant those seeds. It kind of made no sense. I don't like those skits like that in professional wrestling where they're just like, you know, everyday life or whatever. They're just catch them going to the grocery store or some crap like that. And this is perfect example of something that just made no sense whatsoever. But I guess, you know, they planting those seeds, I could see it happening down the road whenever it happens. Maybe it already happened, I don't know. But I think when it does happen, are they going to start pushing Silas Mason to the moon?
No,
you don't think so? Who do they have? Let's be honest. Who do they have as far as talent goes that they could put up to that level?
I want you to understand that I'm with you on Silas Mason and the value that he brings to the company. He is the perfect foil for the NWA in that he has gimmick, he has promo, he's a shooter, he's a wrestler. Like, he's got everything you would want to be your NWA World Champion. Even more so, like the NWA, which is traditionally kind of Southern, Southern wrestling. He's a Southern man. And I don't understand why they haven't strapped a rocket to him and send him to the moon. But as of right now, it's like they like Tom, and I like Tom too. But again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Tom doesn't need to be world champion for the next 950 days for him to be relevant. He could lose the title and win it back, and it would be compelling. Like, I'm not advocating for hot shotting the belt off to anybody. I'm not advocating for a Tommy Wildfire Rich 1 week runs to pop the territory. But I just feel like under the set of circumstances, like, what are they afraid of? Why aren't they pushing Silas Mason? And that's why I said, like, I don't think it's going to happen, because they could do it right now if they wanted to, and they have chosen not to.
To me, it's just mind-boggling, because it's like they're holding him back when he has full potential to be the leader of that television show. You know what I mean? Of the NWA. Yeah. I don't care if he's, what is it, like McMahon didn't like guys that have Southern accents or any kind of accent, so he kept them off TV or didn't let them talk. Who cares? It's the NWA.
It's that way too.
Yeah, you're right. But it's
he didn't want to rename Boss Man Big Bubba Rogers because that was too Southern. And then they had to anyway.
Well, they named him like 30 different things while he went over there. He changed his gimmick like every couple years, it seemed like, and then he went back to being Bubba Rogers after a while.
So, DK, you haven't been very vocal on this segment, but I'm assuming you didn't care for it.
Yeah, I got up and took a piss.
It's probably a smart business decision. So then that takes us to the next match, where we have, and it's still crazy for me that they're calling Slade a junior heavyweight, which I guess on paper he genuinely is. But then you put him into the ring with Hunter, and it very much looks like you got Scott Steiner in the ring. It just doesn't make sense. I know Slade is probably a genuine junior heavyweight, but he just looks so big when you put him in the ring with these guys. And like, you look at who are the cruiserweight or junior heavyweights in the NWA currently. Colby says he's not a junior heavyweight. Kerry says he's not a junior heavyweight. So you got Alex Taylor, you got Hunter, and who else? Gags?
Misery.
Lev. Maybe Crazy Steve?
I don't know.
If Slade is a junior heavyweight, so is Crazy Steve.
It's possible.
And so again, I know that DK, and I don't need to talk for him. He'll say enough in his own right, but he's not a big Hunter fan. But I thought this was probably the best Hunter's looked, and I felt like this match was maybe more competitive than it needed to be, because if you're going to build Slade to be a future junior heavyweight champion, because that's the only reason why I imagine he'd be in that division, then he should be roasting fools. And him going in there and throwing Hunter around made me happy. But then Hunter did get a lot of offense in the match. And then the whole distraction stuff. I don't know. I don't feel like the match needed that. Rick, what did you think of this one?
I thought for the most part it was a pretty good match. It was pretty solid, and like it didn't need any kind of BS. The distraction and whatnot, it was holding up on its own, and it's like that's one thing that Billy always does is when something's really good as far as a match like that, there's always got to be some sort of BS ending, Yeah. But I thought for the most part this really was one of the better moments that I've seen on NWA TV in quite some time. Slade is a beast. I think that dude is a seriously great competitor. I think not that Hunter is, but
yeah. Now, DK, what was your thought on this match? Because I'm very curious about that as well.
Well, as always, Hunter made me sad. Because anytime he's in the ring, I'm sad.
Sure.
Because he shouldn't be. Yeah. So let's put that aside. Let's look at the match. Anytime that Slade was dominating was good, and that's what they needed out of him.
Yeah.
And I hope they never put him back with Rolando. They brought up that he was out there without Rolando. We haven't seen Rolando in a while. I'm kind of hoping that he's, behind the scenes.
Check under your shoes.
On the bottom of his shoe, fired. I don't know. So, of course I don't want anyone to be fired, but he doesn't need to be there. And
I want lots and lots of people to get fired. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he's certainly not doesn't need to be with somebody like Slade. And like Jay said, Hunter got too much offense. And that bothered me because, again, right now what you should be doing is making Slade look like a monster in the junior heavyweight division. And then, what I thought about the end when there was what's her name came out, which, by the way, they hinted at the beginning that she'd probably be out there by saying that.
Yeah.
She's the fiance or whatever. But the part about that bothers me is that, and this is part of the problem with Billy being a on-stage performer in music, is that he wants there to be a twist. He thinks there needs to be entertainment of some sort and drama and maybe controversy or whatever. But he overthinks it. Sometimes the entertainment is just a good match being a good match. Sometimes the entertainment is the right person dominating, the right person winning clean. Sometimes that's the entertainment in wrestling.
Right.
And Billy's attraction to performance, he thinks there needs to be something extra, something more, something kind of special to it. We can't just have a good wrestler go out there and wrestle. Nobody likes that. We need to put something out there that is we need a twist, we need a curve. We need Kenzie's butt. I don't know. But yeah, that bothered me. And overall, I said about this week, I had no favorite match, but I had a favorite wrestler, and Slade was my favorite wrestler. I only rated the match a C again because of the too much offense by Hunter and just Hunter making me sad by being in the ring.
I mean, I think that's fair. Sean says, what junior heavyweight division? Yeah, I mean, we haven't even seen the junior heavyweight title has been more sparse as of late than the women's TV championship. So,
I mean, really, what divisions?
Yeah,
you got a point there. Yep.
Tag sucks, junior sucks. Women's is the best one, but as we pointed out, Quincy Page has been through everybody already. And, heavyweight, I feel like another one of those things where they're trying too hard. And this is where I'll go back to last week. It's why Mims and Legursky pissed me off. It was a good match done the way it should be done with a heel and a face and the way the heel won and everything like that. It's like they know how to put on a good match.
Yeah.
So, let your talent go out and be wrestlers. What I say when they did repeats of Primetime Live on Shockwave, NWA Shockwave or whatever.
Right.
Turns out wrestling fans like wrestling.
I'm going to, just for giggles here, I'm going to go to the NWA Twitter channel and see how many people have watched this week's episode of Power. Now, again, this was just only aired, Tuesday. So Currently, they're at 28,000 for the last episode. And again, we don't know how that works out. We don't know what that actually means. But 28,000 people have viewed this matchup, this show. And if you go back to last week, which I'm trying to do right now, last week they had 54,000 watch that episode, interact with that episode.
That's over the week, though, right?
Yeah, right. And that's been a week long. So it's like, I don't know if less people are watching or more people are watching. It's kind of hard to tell, to be quite honest. And
right.
the metrics for, it's funny because being on X makes it very hard to measure the metrics of what's actually being seen, because they don't measure their engagement the same way. Like they pay people based on engagement, not by views. So someone could get a million views, but if no one engaged in the content, then it's not going to make a lot of money for that person.
Right.
Double D just kind of reiterated what RD said. Well, you're both RDs, but whatever. Junior heavyweight division is weak. Tag division is weak. There's no top challengers for Tom Latimer. What the hell is Billy doing?
There's a lot of great talent out there in the independent circuit. Bring them in.
Professional wrestling needs a baseline, if normal, so that abnormal stands out. And I think, like, you know, we're talking about Carson and Hunter, and not Carson, Spencer and Hunter. And I mean, I know it is what it is, but it was at least a wrestling match that was, for the most part, a clean wrestling match. So, I mean, I know it wasn't the greatest match ever, but at least it was a somewhat decent match. That brings us to the finale of the Jack Stain Memorial Tournament, the final match. Colby Carino, Frank with Austin Idol. Now, the thing about this is, and again, this is what happens when your content is filmed like 3 months in advance. When it comes to actually see it, what's happening in real time spoils what happened 3 months ago. It's hard to get excited about a match that we already knew the outcome to back in May. And so I guess what I'm going to say to this is, I watched the match, but I couldn't get into the match. This is one that I just couldn't get into. DK, you know, I want to know what you thought about this match. What was your opinion?
It was a standard small underdog versus big giant. Honestly, with the clean roll through victory, they didn't do much to help Frank, who they had kind of branded, Judias. He was in better shape. They had him looking a little bit tougher and meaner. They certainly had him in the ring being more dominant. And then you do this. And not that I have anything against Colby Carino, other than the fact that he's not a heavyweight. I don't care what you declare yourself. I don't care if you put on more muscle. The guy probably weighs 190 pounds at most.
Yeah.
And I might be being generous. And it's just one of those. And then, like you said, I already know what's going to happen. So I already know. First of all, I thought the two people that were in the finals for the first Jack Stain Memorial was sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I'd want Jack's name associated with this final. And so it was a sad thing. There were two people he didn't believe were going to do much in the future. He certainly didn't believe either one of them was going to have a shot at winning the title. And then we already know, spoilers for some of you out there, 1, 2, 3, we already know that they just slip him in, take the pinfall, at Crockett Cup. So a tournament that didn't mean a lot, that didn't wrap in one day, a final with two people who you didn't really want to be in the finals. and that led to a nothing three-way match, for the winner to lose. And it's just horrible decision-making by Billy. Everything about this was wrong. It wasn't even interesting, the match itself. I can't sit there and look. I still gave it a C, but it's almost like I'm not sure why. It's just, there was nothing interesting in it. There's nothing that just made me go, oh, cool, awesome, whatever. It was just like, it's a match. I honestly don't know what to say other than the whole tournament was a huge disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that, to be perfectly honest. It's, I felt like this would have been a good coming out party for somebody like maybe a Mike Mondo, right? Maybe a Burchill, somebody who's been with the company for a little bit but has failed to gain traction. Colby Corino, whether you like him or not, shouldn't be the guy that goes through this tournament, and then honestly goes into this tournament to get a one half of a title match because he has to share it with Rhino. I just feel like the whole thing was botched, and especially when you attach Jax Dane's name to it. Like, to me, this should have been the tournament that Wrecking Ball Legursky broke out with, or Jay Bradley, or a heavyweight who puts the heavy in heavyweight. Like, I just feel like this, Jax Dane was a very humble human being. He was a very kind man, and I don't think he would have a negative thing to say about anybody, but I don't think he would have been happy with the results of this tournament. I can't speak for him. I just don't think that this would have been what he would want his name attached to. Rick?
Go
ahead. Okay.
Looking back, and then we'll let Rick talk. Looking back, because of the timing and everything, this would have been a perfect tournament for where the finals were Legursky versus Bradley.
Absolutely. Now you're talking. Now you're cooking.
And then when Legursky wins, Bradley attacks him with the chain. So we still know that the guy is going to get a shot at the world title at some point in the future, but we can still have the chain match and not have a three-way. And I think part of the reason there was a three-way was so that it got Rhino and Latimer out of getting the pin. But but just looking at the tournament, if that would have been the final, that would have been a good top-level story. I don't know, Rick, what do you think?
It was an alright match. It was nothing fantastic, but like you said, y'all couldn't get into it. I couldn't stay focused on watching it. I was actually in my office as well, just kind of working and trying to multitask and pay attention. It really wasn't keeping me focused the entire time by any stretch. And the victory roll up, it was kind of, to me, it was sort of predictable in a way, like the underdog. Like, who else were they going to go with out of the two? But it was all right. Nothing special to be saying I need to watch this again or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that he should have been in that match against Rhino either. So
no,
by any stretch.
And the thing about it too is like Sean Vega said, did Colby win because Crockett Cup was in Philly? I mean, look, we know that hard times Rhino was there to challenge for the World's Heavyweight Championship. So I don't think that Colby won to feed that, because I think they always knew that Rhino was going to be a part of that matchup. But to echo what Rick said and what DK said, this absolutely, Colby was included so that Rhino didn't take a loss.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, DK, you were cooking by saying that Wrecking Ball and Jay Bradley would have been a very interesting finals I mean, I wouldn't even mind if it had been Frank in the finals against Wrecking Ball Legursky. You could have had both those. Like this whole tournament should have been a tribute to your heavyweight wrestlers, you know. And I think there's a missed opportunity by not doing that.
Right. And I like Colby. I like Colby. You know, he's very good at what he does for the most part.
Remember, this tournament that had Max as the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a funny comment by Devin Dowling. I'm with DKM on everything, even his first name. If Frank won, I don't think we care that he's thrown into the match at Crockett Cup. I mean, if Frank won, I don't think he would have been thrown into that match. Maybe. But again, like I feel like this is the problem with stunt casting, right? Like you bring in a name to pop the card who's not willing to do the job or can't do the job contractually, whatever. And then you throw in Colby, who looked out of place. And again, to Rick's point, I like Colby, and I think he has a lot of potential. But putting him in the main event wasn't the right idea. And if you couldn't have had a good match, if you knew that Rhino couldn't have done the job cleanly to Tom without creating controversy for Rhino, then bring in someone that wouldn't have had a problem doing the job. Noob says the current NWA product is definitely shits the bed. This year's Crockett Cup didn't get enough hype. I disagree with that. The skits are not interesting, and Billy Corgan on commentary is laughable. That I do agree with.
Billy's using insider terms when he's on commentary, and it just burns my mind. Like, it just drives me absolutely crazy because it's like, I mean, I know he's not the only one that's done it in the past, but it's really like, shouldn't be talking about certain things or saying certain things while on commentary. It's just, don't talk about yourself. Worry about getting the 2 people in the ring over. Worry about getting the match over. Stay away from the stupidity. Actually, Billy, just get out of the booth entirely. Let Joe and Danny Deals take it over because they're a great duo. And I've said it before, say it again, Joe's probably one of the best commentator in professional wrestling today.
I think it's the thing that
it's ego. You know what I mean? He wants to do everything that he can.
What's the most irritating to me about it is, like, how many bumps has Billy ever taken? You know, like, I don't try to use like a lot of insider terminology because I'm not in the business. I'm a fan, just like Billy. The difference is he had enough millions of dollars to buy the NWA. So that now he's putting on a show that's subpar, that most of us agree is not up to the potential that it could be. And it's not putting more dollars into the company because, honestly, I don't think he needs to invest in talent. I don't think he needs to invest in production. I think he needs to invest in maybe somebody who could tell stories better than him.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see him invest in more talent, a little bit higher level talent to kind of raise the bar in the NWA. Because let's be honest, you have a little bit bigger stars, more people are going to be like, oh, whoever is in the NWA, I'm going to check this out.
Yeah.
Somebody that maybe, like you said, just got released from WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever. That'll draw people to your brand. But I don't think he wants to spend that kind of money with a lot of those guys, even if it's just a one-off.
Well,
start offering bigger contracts as well. I mean, that's how you're going to get viewers when you have these people in there for a while, not just 3 shows that are so far apart that nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't understand the concept of building anybody up. This is when I got back to, I go, what's Power? Power doesn't have an identity. They go do TV tapings, and out of the TV tapings, they show us 6 matches. And then they go to a signature live event, which they use as a TV taping, and it has 3 matches. So, and then we keep seeing people win, lose, win. The reason studio wrestling came along and some of the early tapings in arenas, some of the early stuff, was because it was all enhancement matches. It was a infomercial, as I always used to say.
Bringing people into the crowd, into the arenas, talk them into the arenas
Right.
by having a bunch of squash matches and TV tapings. And if you're lucky, a TV main event, a 10-minute between two of the best stars on your roster.
And they were normally middle card. You might occasionally see like the national champion if you're talking about, but you know, like a lot of times it would be just like, okay, here are two mid card guys.
And that's why the TV title was created solely for that, so that there would be more, so that there would be a chance to see a championship defended on television frequently enough.
Right.
So, DK, you wanted to make a point before we called it a night tonight. You were earlier in the show. You said, "Well, let's talk about this after we talk about Power." Well, we're done talking about Power. So, what did you want to talk about, DK?
Well, it was kind of good timing there with Rick talking about like the TV title. But do you feel the NWA titles are stale here? I mean, Murdochs have been tag team champions for over a year. Kenzie's been women's champion for almost 2 years, which kind of helps diminish Camille's 800 day reign.
Yeah.
EC3 held the title for a year and then lost it he won it and then lost it at the anniversary show.
Yeah.
Tom's approaching a year.
Yep.
And it's like, we don't see anything big in his future. So maybe what's his anniversary show going to be? And it's like, the women's tag team title has changed hands a little bit recently, but it's the women's tag team titles, and who gives up? And the women's television championship, we never saw Big Mama win it. She held it for months, had one title defense that I know of where she lost it.
Yeah, she only had the one title defense.
And so, so we're going to have to deal with Tiffany. Tiffany, who, spoiler here, Tiffany's a champ, holding 3 titles. And it's like, I get the U.S. tag team title has not been the most stable, but again, it's almost, you rarely see it on Power.
Well, I mean, so Billy addressed that, right? So, I'm just going to jump in. Billy addressed that the U.S. tag titles would not really be featured on Power and be more of a territorial title. We have seen the Kazanas defend those titles more on the independents. Obviously, Crockett Cup has some spoilers. They are not the tag champions anymore. So, everything that you're saying, I 100% agree with. They've done so little to make the women's tag teams relevant that it doesn't really matter who holds the title. Now, hopefully the current champions have some success and run with it. But yeah, let's start with Tom Latimer. His run as champion has been pretty successful. He's had some pretty good opponents outside of the NWA, some pretty decent opponents inside the NWA. But at this point, yeah, it's a little bit stale. There's no one on the roster who says, like, if it's Tom Latimer and whoever's on the roster, it's not going to sell a ticket to me. I'm not going to be interested. Now, if he says, oh, hey, Matt Riddle versus Tom Latimer, hey, I might be interested in seeing that. Oh, hey, RVD and Tom Latimer, again, hey, I might be interested in seeing that. But that's not how it should be. It shouldn't be an outside guy drawing us in. It should be Tom in the championship drawing us to that next matchup. And the same thing is with Kenzie. It's like, she's great. Tom's great. Both of them. I like them a lot. But these long, drawn-out title reigns, I think, are, like you said, becoming stale. And when you have these talented individuals, like, look, there's no reason for Tom to hold this title for an entire year. He can lose the title, and he can regain the title. And the same thing with Kenzie Page. She's going on now 2 years as champion. And you're right, it does diminish what was special about Camille's run. And it's not like, and Noob, I hope you're in the chat here. Markova's right there. They can go back and forth with that title, and I don't think it would hurt anybody.
Well, and I think another thing, it's not even necessarily how long they're holding the titles. Mim's another one; he's held the title for a long time, but it's that you don't see anything. Ric Flair held the title for most of 10 years, with the occasional drop. But like his longest single reign was 2 years, 2 months, 2 days. And the question, God, I hope not. The question is,
God, I hope not. Sorry. Sorry.
That was great. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, DK.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, about every 6 months there was somebody that was challenging Ric Flair that you said they might change the title.
You got to make it convincing enough that he might be able to lose the belt, and they go out there and have a banger, so to speak, and have him almost that opponent get just about there with it without it just being, and then it just pulled away and put out an excellent match, and that's what Ric Flair did, and that's what made the NWA title at that era mean so damn much. They didn't put that belt on just anybody.
And I'm going to say this too. One of the things that Jay popped up where they're talking about Cardona winning it, and Maple Leaf, and then losing it. The title's not changing hands anywhere outside of a main NWA show.
I don't think so.
To your lips, to Billy's ears, because I think that would be a misstep. But I think we should probably wrap it up right about here. I think we had, the news front has been a little bit outside of the Roku deal. It has been kind of a little slow. We can't keep beating Power to death here. I think it is what it is. And I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about that. So for the next few minutes, I just want everyone to plug what they have coming up. Of course, I did a whole bunch of interviews that are now on YouTube and on Spotify. Go check them out. You know where they're at the Alliance blog. All right, I'm going to take myself out.
Anybody?
Rick, what do you got going on?
All right, I got a bunch of stuff coming up. I just did an interview with the illustrious Johnny Stewart, former AWA superstar. That's up now on my YouTube. Go check it out. It was a fun conversation. Next Tuesday will be Bubba White, who was Moondog Splat, a.k.a. Goliath in Memphis. Talks about Downtown Bruno, teaming with Fred Ottman in Memphis. All sorts of great stuff. I got a lot of really good stuff this Saturday in Bristol, Connecticut. Pure Vanguard Wrestling. You guys at the Bristol Boys and Girls Club. There's a lot of really great matches listed for that. You can go check it out on my Facebook or Instagram. And also earlier in the day, I'll be at the Wrestling Classic 6 in Springfield, Massachusetts. If you guys are in the area, come by and say hello.
You forgot you also just recently did an interview earlier today.
Oh, I did. I did an interview with some guy from some wrestling company. Jaden joined me on my podcast earlier today. Go check that out. That is the latest edition. So that was a fun conversation talking about old school wrestling and making it a point why the newer stuff just doesn't do it for either of us.
How about DK? Anything new good for you?
Actually, I'm going to be at a wrestling show on Saturday. I'm going to be talking to some people, and hopefully we'll have some kind of an announcement next week about filling one of our vacant championships.
Nice. I can't wait to hear about that announcement.
That's all I have.
And then for me, Saturday night, June 28th, I keep saying Max Fit Sports Center. That's going to be muscle memory. The Sacred Heart Church in Riverton, New Jersey, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators returns. Main event is Vinny the Fixer defending the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Championship against Marvelous. If you want to make sure you check out Jay's interview with Marvelous to talk about that match. Also, David Goldie will be defending the World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship against AEW superstar Nick Camarado. You're going to see Jack Martins go after WWE and Ring of Honor superstar Tank Tolan. The Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Championship will be on the line as Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh defend against Primal Fear. The World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship will be on the line as Valerie Verman defends against number one contender Stevie Brooks. DGAP Bundles will beat up Connor the Flag Boy. I can't wait to see that. Also, make sure to check out DGAT's interview with Jay on the Alliance Blog podcast. A really good interview, and you learned a lot, and it was a very fun interview on that one. There will be Biggie Biggs will be there, so make sure you check it out. Again, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, Saturday night, June 28th, Sacred Heart Church, located at 103 4th Street in beautiful historic Riverton, New Jersey. For tickets, call 856-417-4187. Also, there'll be a special appearance by world-ranked bantamweight professional boxer Emmanuel Rodriguez. Those, again, $20 tickets. You can get them at the door. 7 o'clock, the doors will open. Bell time starts at 7:30. Kids 8 and under for free, as long as it's one kid per paid adult. So if you have 12 kids, make sure to bring 12 adults. All right, that's it for me.
All right, guys.
Buy some W.
Buy some W. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday. It's been a very long week of podcasting for all of us, so we're going to call it a night here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next Thursday as we'll talk more about the news and information from around the NWA, and of course, we'll be covering POWERRR. So until then, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. for NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are